Hello everyone, I'm Anime Freak and welcome to the video. Well, this is it guys. I am going to confess to you my deepest, darkest secret, and it has something to do with Code Geass. And it is this. I absolutely hate Code Geass, Lelouch, and the fanbase. Yep, you guys heard me. I hate Code Geass, Lelouch, and the fanbase. Now, I'm not saying this just to troll anybody. I genuinely do not like this series. I feel that the series is overrated. It has a forced plot, unwanted fan service. Lelouch is completely unlikable, and the fan base is horrible. I just want to point out, before I start anything, I just want to say this. I don't mind people liking this series. I mean, if you're a Code Geass fan and you absolutely love this series, then I'm okay with it. If you love Lelouch, I'm fine with that. It's like me with Dragon Ball Z. I know there's people out there that doesn't like Dragon Ball Z, but that's their opinion. I'm okay with it. And one of my favourite anime series ever, Monster. If there are people out there that doesn't like it, then I'm okay with it. Because we all have our different opinions, likes and dislikes. Now, for everything to make sense, we're going to have to start all the way at the beginning. It all started when my parents kept on saying that, oh, those cartoons that you watch, you need to grow out of them. You need to stop watching silly cartoons. And to all my fellow anime fans, all of us have come across this sort of behaviour from our parents or our friends or our siblings or whoever. And this is when my anime collection was young. I think I might have had a bookshelf full of anime back then. But anyways, my parents kept on saying, oh, you need to stop watching those cartoons. You need to stop watching those stupid cartoons. And this went on for a very, very long time. And it got to a point where I got sick and tired of it. And so I decided to get one of my parents to watch an anime with me. But the problem was I didn't know which one I should get them to watch. So I was looking on the internet, asking people, hey, which anime do you think I should get my parents to watch? Or which anime do you think is very mature? And many people would say Death Note on forums, YouTube, etc. And the funny thing is, I had the series Death Note in my backlog of anime to watch. I was told that Death Note was one of the greatest anime series of all time. So I decided to leave Death Note at the very bottom of my backlog. And the funny thing is, whenever I bought a new anime, I would always put it at the front. And the series Death Note must have been on my shelf for at least a year until, well, you guys know where this is going. So I decided to take people's suggestions on getting my mother to watch Death Note with me. And the thing is, I did not know what Death Note was about. And at the time, I knew my anime tropes. There was fan service, there was silly, childish moments, references that non-fans wouldn't get. So I decided to get Death Note, asked my mom if she wanted to watch it with me, and I said, if you don't like the first 3 episodes, you don't have to watch the rest of the series. So we sat down, watched the first 3 episodes, and she was intrigued, and so was I. But I was sweating, because once you had parents telling you to stop watching stupid little cartoons, it makes you think, oh god, please don't let there be a scene where it will prove them right. So anyways, every night or so, we would watch an episode or 2 episodes of Death Note. And it was a very intriguing, interesting, smart series. The writing was brilliant, the characters were great, and after watching an episode or 2, we would talk about what we thought about the episode. And after watching Death Note all the way through from beginning to end, my mom really enjoyed Death Note. And then I decided to get her into other anime. Moribito, Basilisk, Monster, Fullmetal Alchemist, and she took back all the things she said about anime. And after a while, I got my dad to watch Monster with us, and he really enjoyed the series Monster. So I stopped both my parents saying that anime was stupid cartoon stuff, which was a plus, but I'm getting off track here. After watching Death Note episode by episode, 1 or 2 a night, and letting the episodes sink into me and thinking what I watched, Death Note was very well thought out. It made you think, it made you understand why the characters made their decisions, it made you question what justice is. And even though Light Yagami was a prick, he was a prick that I really wanted to win. Even though he was doing all this horrible stuff, I couldn't help but get behind him. I loved how well thought out his plans was. I loved his battle with L. And again, even though Light Yagami was a prick, he was a likable prick, if that makes sense. I know there's a lot of people out there that doesn't like Light Yagami, but you know what? That's fine. I don't mind if you hate him or dislike him or whatever. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Light Yagami and Death Note isn't one of my favourite series or characters. I acknowledge that Death Note is very well written, it's intense, it's smart, and I acknowledge that it's one of the greatest anime series of all time. Remember, I said it's one of the greatest, I didn't say it's the greatest, because as many of you know, my favourite anime series of all time is Monster. So anyways, after I watched Death Note, I was in a slump because I didn't think I would watch anything as awesomely brilliantly written as Death Note ever again. It was a few years later after I watched Death Note that I found Monster, and I thought that was brilliantly written. But at the time, after watching Death Note, I was in a slump because I wanted to watch something that was similar to Death Note. I wanted something that would challenge me. I wanted something that would give me that feeling that Death Note gave me. And to be honest, I can't remember if it was like a few days or a few weeks, but around the time I finished Death Note, loads of people was telling me to go and watch Code Geass. Well, the internet wasn't exactly saying, oh, go and watch it, but there was loads of people saying, oh, Code Geass is one of the greatest anime series ever. It's like Death Note, but better. Lelouch is like Light, but better. Lelouch is one of the greatest anime characters of all time. And wherever I went on the internet, people was always glorifying Code Geass as one of the greatest anime series ever. And everybody kept praising Lelouch as his ultimate hero. They kept glorifying him and glorifying him. There was loads of people saying, Code Geass is a masterpiece. And occasionally, I would see a comment saying that, oh, I don't like Suzaku. I don't like Suzaku. Suzaku's a traitor. And then there was negativity on Nina, and there was negativity on the Knights. They were like one or two lines in a sentence, but it was mostly praising Lelouch and the series Code Geass. And do you know what my reaction was when I kept on hearing that Code Geass is like Death Note but better, or Lelouch is like Light Yagami but better? Everyone on the internet, well, the anime internet, kept praising it. And let me tell you guys something. I had extreme high hopes for this series, Code Geass I mean, because I have never seen anyone talk so positively about Code Geass since Death Note. And I was thinking to myself, you know what, if Code Geass is as good as what the internet is telling me and saying that it's better than Death Note, then I was open to it. I was hoping that Code Geass would give me the same feeling that Death Note would give me, because the internet kept on comparing them. So I decided to buy the Blu-rays, sit down, get my popcorn ready, and watch the series. So I watched episode 1 all the way to season 2, and as the series went on, I really disliked the series, and I really did not like Lelouch. And this is the part where I'm going to tell you guys why I don't like the series, and why I hate Lelouch, and why I don't like the fan base. Now I just want to let you guys know, I'm not going to go, oh, I'm going to talk about Lelouch, then the fan base, then the series. It's just going to be a mix. So, with all that said and done, let's continue. This rant will contain spoilers of Code Geass, so if you haven't seen the series, please go and watch that, and then as soon as you've done that, come back and listen to me. I'm going to start off with the stuff that really bothered me in the series, and then I'll work myself way down to the stuff that least bothered me. I want to talk about the last episode of the first season, because the last episode really pissed me off, considering what Lelouch did in the cave. In fact, it starts from when he made Yuffie kill the Japanese in the special zone all the way to the end of season 1. I just want to assure you guys that I know Lelouch didn't mean to kill Yuffie. It was an accident, I understand that. But I just want to bring up something. If this was Nunnally, what do you think Lelouch would have done? Because from what I saw from the beginning all the way to the end, Lelouch would have done anything for Nunnally. Absolutely anything. And I guarantee you, if this happened to Nunnally, Lelouch would have done something to save her. Because Lelouch would never ever have shot Nunnally. And it's been shown near the end, after when the Knights betrayed Lelouch, that Lelouch wanted to die. And he does this not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. like when he gave up to the Knights, or when Rollo saved the Lelouch and the Lelouch says, "Stop Rollo, Nunnally's gone, I have nothing left to live for anymore." Or when the Lelouch destroyed the entrance to the geass world, trapping him and his father inside of it. Lelouch genuinely thought that they were trapped in there forever. And the fourth time was when he made the Zero Requiem. Because, let me tell you guys something, if Lelouch knew that Nunnally was still alive, he would have never have made the Zero Requiem. And the only reason he didn't turn back when he found out Nunnally was still alive was because he couldn't turn back, not because he didn't want to. I mean, look where he is. He kidnaps the world leaders, he declares war on the world, and he's in the middle of a war. Now, before any of you say, "Oh, but Anime Freak, at the pond, he told Suzaku that he wasn't going to put Nunnally first anymore." Well, here's the thing. The only reason he said that was because Lelouch wanted to die. He had nothing else to live for. And it was easy for him to say that because, again, he had nothing left. His best friend wants to kill him. Nunnally was gone. The Knights betrayed him. Lelouch had nothing. And by the time Lelouch found out Nunnally was still alive, Lelouch couldn't turn back at that point. Lelouch thought Nunnally was dead. His Knights wanted to kill him. Suzaku wanted to kill him. Lelouch killed both of his parents. He takes over Britannia. He kidnaps the world leaders. And he declares war on the world. And the only reason Lelouch started this new plan was to make everyone forget about Yuffie, which is dumb, but I'll get to that later. And I'll get to why his Zero Requiem plan makes no sense. Lelouch had no choice but to continue the war. Because if you guys really think about it, do you really think that Lelouch would go to the world leaders, apologise, and say to the world, "Okay guys, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this, let's call this whole thing off, I do apologise, let's just have world peace altogether"? Nobody at this point is going to believe Lelouch, and even if Lelouch was going to go through with it, Suzaku would have killed him there and then. Because Lelouch promised Suzaku that he could take his life to avenge Yuffie. But I'm getting off track. Back to the cave. He makes the whole world think Yuffie was a killer. He lies to his best friend, Suzaku, and almost gets him killed by the Knights. And he makes Suzaku look like a traitor. And then, this is the one thing that really pisses me off. When everything was secure at the school, and Lelouch finished his fight with his sister Cornelia, Lelouch found out that Nunnally was kidnapped. And what does he do? He leaves the freaking battlefield. Yeah, you heard me. He abandoned his post to go and save the life of this little girl, where millions of people was relying on him to save them. Lelouch chose to save the life of this little girl instead of helping the people who needed him. Okay, here's something I want to ask the Lelouch fanboys. You guys say that Lelouch wants to help people and do the right thing, and he does what needs to be done. But look at him in the last episode of the first season. He leaves the battlefield. That's not being responsible, and that's not doing what needs to be done. And guess what? All thanks to him, he loses the school. Everybody's captured. His sister Yuffie's death was in vain. Many people died because of him. Civilians and his soldiers. And this just shows what's more important to him. His sister, Nunnally. Oh, and there's one other thing I'd like to bring up before I carry on. You know Cornelia? She loved Lelouch. She wanted to avenge his death and Nunnally's. And that's one of the things that really bothers me. Cornelia loved Lelouch, and he betrays her, he fights with her, and almost gets her killed, and he tries to take her hostage, and keeps her hostage in season 2. Now, I know some of you are going to say, "Oh, but Anime Freak, Cornelia is fighting for Britannia, she's the enemy." Guys, it doesn't matter. Cornelia loved Lelouch. And if Lelouch couldn't see that Cornelia loved him, then he's an asshole. Are you guys telling me that someone who cared for her brother is a bad person? And I'm going to say this. Cornelia was doing her job. Because that's what all soldiers do. They do their jobs. Cornelia has every single right to hate and kill Lelouch for what he did to Yuffie. I know this little rant of mine about Cornelia is going to make me very unpopular, but you know what? I don't care. It's my rant. So now, to the cave. So, not only did Lelouch leave the battlefield to go and save Nunnally, but the following really pissed me off. In the cave, at the end of season 1, Suzaku confronts Zero, and then Zero tells Suzaku that Yuffie slaughtered the Japanese at the special zone. And then Suzaku cuts off Zero and says, "That geass power of yours is very useful, isn't it?" You hide in the shadows while other people do your dirty work, just like the coward you are. Now, I just want to bring something up. Prior to the cave, Suzaku met up with VV. Suzaku was still mourning the loss of Yuffie. Suzaku was confused and upset. Suzaku didn't understand why Yuffie did what she did. This was Suzaku's and Yuffie's dream. Yuffie and Suzaku loved each other, and this was something they was going to do together. Suzaku and Yuffie was a lovely couple together, and they had a plan that would help the Japanese. And then Lelouch had to go and fuck it up because he got too butthurt about it. Again, I know this was an accident, but prior to that, he was just butthurt about it. But yes, back to Suzaku. When Vivi told Suzaku that Zero had a power that can control people, and possibly Vivi told Suzaku who Zero was, or maybe Suzaku figured out who Zero was, but either way, Suzaku didn't want to believe that his best friend was behind that mask. Suzaku couldn't believe that Lelouch, his one and only friend, was behind that mask. He didn't want to believe that the man he called his best friend was the one who made Yuffie kill the Japanese at the special zone, killed Yuffie, made her out to be a mass murderer, and made Suzaku look like a traitor, considering he was Yuffie's knight. But keep in mind, Suzaku still didn't believe that Lelouch was behind the mask. And then, when Suzaku shot off the helmet and saw Lelouch was behind the mask, this is where their friendship ended. To Suzaku, their friendship was gone. And even Colin, which was there at the time, acknowledged that Lelouch was just using the knights and the Japanese for his own benefit. By the way, I hate Colin as well. She's not blameless either, but I'll get to her later. And then with a few words between Suzaku and Lelouch, Lelouch had the nerve to ask Suzaku to help him find Nunnally. And he says this casually like nothing happened prior. And then Lelouch has the nerve to bring up Suzaku's past about Suzaku killing his father. I just want to say that at the time when Suzaku killed his father, he was a child. Suzaku thought he was doing the right thing by stopping the war. Suzaku, at that age, thought he was doing the right thing. And if anything, if Lelouch should be thanking Suzaku, because at some point it's most likely that Suzaku's father would have killed Lelouch and Nunnally. I have no evidence to back this up, but Lelouch and Nunnally was there as prisoners. I'm not saying that he would, but at the same time, we don't know what would have happened if Suzaku's father was still alive. But I'm getting off topic. Again, Suzaku was a child back then. Children don't know how the world works. This gets Suzaku angry, and Suzaku says that Lelouch's dream will never come true, calling Lelouch a traitor, and then Lelouch threatened to blow all of them up with a sort of bomb. I don't know what it was called, but Lelouch said that if his heart stops, then the bomb will explode and kill everybody there. And then Lelouch wanted to make a deal with Suzaku. Lelouch said he wanted to know who told Suzaku about the geass, because he believes that that person kidnapped Nunnally. And then Suzaku finally loses his temper and tells Lelouch that his life was an error, that he shouldn't belong in this world. And Suzaku goes on to say that he will take care of Nunnally from now on. And this comes to one of the parts I really hate. Lelouch tried to kill Suzaku, shooting him in the head. Now, before any of you say, "Oh, but Anime Freak, Lelouch wasn't trying to kill Suzaku, he was just trying to get Suzaku to stand down. Why do you think Lelouch hit the hairpiece that was on Suzaku's head?" Okay, I can debunk this. Lelouch isn't a marksman. He has never had any training with a gun. Lelouch was aiming at Suzaku's head. Lelouch, without even explaining himself or saying "I'm sorry" or saying it was an accident and he didn't mean to do it, Lelouch, without hesitation, tried to kill Suzaku. And this is one of the things that I hate about the fanbase. When I bring up this scene, they don't say anything. I mean, they'll say something along the lines of saying that, "Oh yeah, I don't agree with what Lelouch did, but I hate Suzaku. But Lelouch didn't mean to do it, but Suzaku's in the wrong." And they have always tried to give Lelouch excuses and make it like Suzaku was in the wrong. And to all the Lelouch fanboys out there, I actually agree with Suzaku. And when I mean agree with Suzaku, I mean that Suzaku has every single right to hate Lelouch for what he has done. I would also like to bring up that Lelouch has saved Suzaku's life about 3 or 4 times in the series up to that point. And Lelouch himself even said that he trusts Suzaku with Nunnally. And Lelouch tried to kill him without even hesitating or saying he's sorry. And then in Lelouch's flashback, he was brought before the Emperor, his father, by Suzaku. And here's the part that really bothers me. Everybody on YouTube, from what I saw in the comments, everyone keeps going on saying that, oh, how dare Suzaku betray Lelouch? How dare he? How dare he? How dare he betray Lelouch to get a higher position? Hell, even Lelouch bashes Suzaku for selling him out to his father. And Lelouch has the audacity, the nerve to bash Suzaku for selling him out to his father to get a higher position. I just want to remind people that Suzaku is very emotional and very unstable at this point. And you know what? I understand why he's doing this. He wants to continue Yuffie's plan by changing Britannia from the inside. And this is the closest to Yuffie's plan that Suzaku can get. I'm just going to say this. Lelouch has the nerve, the audacity to call Suzaku out when Lelouch has done far worse to Suzaku. Lelouch lied to Suzaku. He almost gets him killed. He makes the woman that Suzaku loves kill the Japanese and make her look like a killer. He makes Suzaku look like a traitor, which he wasn't. He almost gets him killed again. Lelouch lied to him. Lelouch doesn't even explain himself to Suzaku. He tries to make a deal with him, and without even explaining himself, Lelouch, without any hesitation, tries to kill Suzaku by shooting him in the head. And then Lelouch again has the balls, the audacity to say you would sell out your friends to get a higher position. Okay, to all the Lelouch fanboys out there, come on, you cannot tell me that this is right. Okay, because here's the thing, Lelouch has lied to Suzaku. Lelouch tries to make a deal with Suzaku. Lelouch, without even hesitating, tries to kill his best friend, and he dusts off the incident with Yuffie off like it was nothing. And then Lelouch is pissed off that Suzaku would sell him out just to get a higher position. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously, are you guys kidding me? You cannot just say that Suzaku was in the wrong here, because as far as I know, Suzaku has every single right to hate Lelouch, and he has every single right to kill Lelouch. And to all you Lelouch extremist, elitist fanboys out there that's still excusing all the horrible things that Lelouch has done, you guys need to get your head examined. And here's another thing, whenever I bring up this argument with people online, they have nothing to say. They try to give Lelouch excuses over and over again that's not even relevant to the point at hand. Okay, to all the Lelouch fans out there, the less extreme ones, to those of you who likes him, I mean, guys, if you like Lelouch, that's fine, but you have to admit, this is at Lelouch's low point. Lelouch was in the wrong here. Not Suzaku, but Lelouch. Lelouch was the one in the wrong, not Suzaku. Okay, I want to talk about Rollo for a sec. From the very beginning, Lelouch always saw Rollo as a tool, something that he could use and throw away whenever he wanted to, ever since Lelouch got his memory back. Now I know there are some people out there that likes Rollo, and the only reason that so many people likes Rollo is because he saves Lelouch's life. And Lelouch, at the end of Rollo's life, said to Rollo that he is his little brother. Okay, just let me start from the beginning. First off, Rollo was a test subject, and again, when Lelouch got his memories back, he saw Rollo as nothing but a pawn, a means to an end. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about.
Apart from his geass, he's nothing to me. I'll use you up and then throw you away like a piece of trash. My funeral offering to Shirley will be Rollo's life. He will atone for what he did to her. You think you could ever replace Nonali in my heart? You're an imposter! I hate you. I loathe you. I despise you. I've been trying to kill you, but I just keep missing the chance. I said get out! No, stop using your geass like that! Do you want to die? Just what I'd expect of my little brother.
That's right. I thought so. 'Cause I know who you really are.
It's morphin' time! Your big brother is just a liar. Thank you, Rollo.
And everyone seems to have forgotten that Rollo was the one who killed Shirley and was going to go and kill Nunnally so he could have Lelouch all to himself. Don't believe me? Okay, go and watch the series and watch Season 2, Episode 18. Rollo even said that he was going to go and kill Nunnally, the very person that Lelouch loves. And you know what? I bet you any money that or more than half, that didn't like Rollo because Lelouch didn't like him. And you know when that locket started playing the music? When Lelouch started shouting at Rollo saying that, I hate you, I loathe you, I detest you. That seemed more like a signal of saying that, oh, but I feel sorry for him, Lelouch. Oh, be nice to him, Lelouch. And also, at the end of Rollo's life, Lelouch called him his little brother. And how Rollo saved Lelouch from the Knights, those parts, amongst others, were very forced. All for the sake of plot conveniences. Like with Suzaku, Lelouch saved his life, and then at the end of season 1, Lelouch tried to kill Suzaku without even explaining himself or Lelouch's Zero plan. It's like the series was saying, oh, because of Lelouch, the world is better now, there's no more hate, everyone's forgot about Yuffie. And Nunnally somehow escaping a nuke. At least in the first season, it went a little bit more smoother than the second season. I mean, yes, there was a few plot conveniences and forced plot and fillerish episodes, but I'm getting off track. And it is one of the most sickening things that really bothers me about the fan base about this. When Shirley was killed by Rollo, I didn't like her, or just kept silent about her death. And Shirley wanted to help Lelouch find Nunnally, but Rollo didn't want any of that. Rollo didn't want Nunnally and Lelouch to get back together. So Rollo killed Shirley. And from what I saw on forums and websites, there was barely any hatred for Rollo when he did this, even though Lelouch was crying about Shirley's death. Okay, I'm not going to say, oh, the entire fanbase is heartless towards Shirley, but the fanbase was ready to forgive Rollo because he saved Lelouch and helped him. And I would also like to bring up something else. Okay, we all know Nina. She's possibly one of the most hated characters in Code Geass. But before I go on, I just want to say this. Whenever a character helps Lelouch, they cheer on that character. Like, for example, Colin, after when she found out that Zero was Lelouch, or Lelouch was Zero, and after a year, she went back for him and she became his most powerful pawn, and even developing feelings for him. But I'll get to Colin later. So yes, back to Nina. When Lelouch praises a character like Rollo or Colin, the fanbase always agrees with Lelouch. But here's where it gets really funny with the fanbase when it comes to Nina and Lelouch. At some point, Lelouch required Nina's help for his Zero Requiem to beat the nuke. When we saw them together on the ship, it's assumed that she knew that Lelouch was the one who killed Yuffie. But it's also implied that Lelouch told Nina about his Zero Requiem and that he's gonna die, and that his plan will make everyone somehow forget about Yuffie. This is how I assume and how he did it. And even though Nina was useful to Lelouch, and Lelouch even going as far to say that Nina was a good person, which I find hilarious, the fanbase still hated her. So hold on, to all you Lelouch fanboys out there, even though Nina helped Lelouch, and Lelouch even saying that she's a good person, you still hate her. So, moving on to the Black Knights. Now, with the Knights, everybody seems to hate them for what they did to Lelouch. And I just want to say one thing. Lelouch didn't care about the Knights. And I know what some of you are going to say. You're going to say, oh, Anime Freak, Lelouch did care about the Knights. And I know for a fact there's going to be a few of you out there who's going to say, oh, but Anime Freak, the Knights were using Lelouch as much as Lelouch was using them. Because here's the thing. I'm going to be debunking two of these reasons, okay? And I'm going to start off with Lelouch caring about the Knights. And I'm going to say this. Lelouch did not care about the Knights whatsoever. He saw them as pawns and nothing more. And Lelouch didn't care if they died or not. They were just pawns to him. And I know what some of you fanboys are going to say. You're going to say, oh, but Anime Freak, what about in Season 2 when Lelouch saved them in the beginning? I think it was either Episode 3 or Episode 2, I can't remember, in Season 2 when Lelouch saved them. But this one is easy to debunk. The only reason Lelouch saved them was because if he didn't, it would have made Zero's image look bad, and nobody would have wanted to work alongside Zero ever again. And Lelouch needed to get the public on his side. So this was a perfect opportunity for him to show the world that he's this great hero that would protect his comrades. It was all a show to make Zero's image look good and nothing more. I would also like to point out at the end of the series during the war that many Knights who followed Zero died in that war. And let's not forget that the core of the Knights who worked closely with Zero could have died in that war. And some of them did die in that war. By the way, I'm talking about the Zero Requiem War. And also, let's go back to season 1 near the end of the series. Lelouch made the entire world think that she was a killer, including his knights. He lied to them. He lied to them about everything. And I'm going to bring up two things on what happened near the end of season 1. Number 1, he leaves the battlefield. Yeah, he leaves the battlefield to go and save Nunnally. And what happens? They lose the war, and many knights died in that war. Instead of staying in that position where he could have prevented the fort from being taken over, he fucking leaves the battlefield just to go and save this one life where millions of lives, including his own knights, was on the line and or was being killed. And I would also like to talk about Ogi. Dear God, everybody hates Ogi. Maybe even more so or on par with Suzaku. I just want to point out that Ogi is a core member of the Knights. He was one of the few that was closest to Zero. And when he got shot at the end of season 1, Lelouch said that he would replace Ogi. Yes, without showing any concern for Ogi's well-being, Lelouch simply stated that he would just replace him. And let's not forget about the bomb that went off in episode 18, season 2. After the bomb went off, many of the knights died in that blast, including millions of innocent people at the Tokyo settlement. And when Lelouch was told that the settlement was gone and many of their knights was killed in that blast, Lelouch only cared about what happened to Nunnally, which is understandable because Nunnally is all Lelouch cared about. For all Lelouch knew, Nunnally could have been killed in that blast. But again, Lelouch always used the knights as his pawns. And let's move on to the betrayal of the knights. I'll get to reason 2 in a second. I just want to get to the part where they betray Lelouch. When the knights cornered Lelouch in episode 19 and they confronted Lelouch, they shouted that they knew all about the geass and knew who he was. The knights was going, "How dare you use us?" And Lelouch had the idea to use his geass on the knights, but Lelouch couldn't use it because they were too far away and there was the robots. Remember, Lelouch needs to be face to face in order for the geass to work. So yes, Lelouch was planning on using his geass on the knights. And I know what some of you fanboys are going to say. You're going to say, wait a sec, Anime Freak, Lelouch from the very beginning could have used his geass on them, but he didn't, which indicates that he cared about his knights. Okay, I'm going to debunk this. As many of you know, Lelouch only has one chance with the geass per person. He can only give one command for each person, and that's it. And Lelouch only found this out after he used his geass on Colin, and then he tried to use it again, which failed. And it was at this point that Lelouch needed to be careful on how he gives his commands. Lelouch wanted to use his geass as a last resort, and Lelouch was going to use his geass on the knights because they found out who he is and what his powers was and what he did at the special zone. But because he thought Nunnally was dead, he decided he wanted to die at that point. Now, I want to get to the discussion where Snizel and the knights start talking about Zero and who he is. Which brings me up to number 2. The other side of the fans saying that the knights were just using Zero. And I'm not going to lie to you, in the beginning, the knights, even Ogi said that they were just using Zero to get what they wanted. Ogi himself openly said this in season 1. So, to those of you who says, oh, the knights were just using Zero for their own needs, you're right, but at the same time, you're wrong. In the beginning, the knights, or the terrorist group that Ogi belonged to, didn't trust Zero. They were very skeptical about him. But as the series progressed, the knights, slowly but surely, started to believe, trust, and worship him as their savior. And it was up to season 2, episode 19, where all the knights trusted him and defended him. Before I carry on, I just want to say that the knights who went to go and get Nunnally found out who Zero was, or found out what he was doing, and those knights tried to warn the other knights who was fighting. But they got caught in the blast before they could say anything else. All they said was, we cannot trust Commander Zero, do not trust Zero. And in episode 19, season 2, the knights completely trusted Zero. Augie found information on Zero, but we'll get to him later. When Snozzle and the Knights had a meeting in episode 19, and when Snozzle, Lelouch's brother, told them who Zero was and what power he had, the Knights didn't believe him, and they demanded proof from Snozzle. And then Augie comes in and says that what Snozzle said was true, that Zero is a former Britannian prince named Lelouch, and he has a power that can control people. Now at this point, the fan base, the Lelouch fan base, started to hate Augie because he betrayed Lelouch. And to be honest, I don't blame Augie for telling the Knights who Zero was, because at the end of the day, Zero was using them for his own benefit and was ready and willing to sacrifice them for his own needs. After Augie's confession and Snozzle's evidence, and among other things, Augie said in his own words, I wanted to put my trust in Zero, but we mean nothing to him, we're just pawns. This was the point where they truly believed in Zero. They found out the truth about everything. What happened to Yuffie, his geass power, who he was, everything. So, yes, you can say that they were using him as well, but they warmed up to Zero. They trusted him and was ready and willing to defend his honor. But Lelouch always saw the Knights as pawns and nothing else. The Knights in the end believed in Zero, but Lelouch was always using the Knights and was ready and willing to dispose of them. Okay, this is only part 1 of my video of why I don't like Code Geass and Lelouch and the fanbase. It's already been half an hour, so I've decided to do these in parts instead of having about an hour's worth of commentary for you guys. I'm going to do more parts to this rant, and I would also like for you guys, especially the Code Geass fans, to leave comments on how you felt about this rant, or if there's anything that you want me to discuss, or if there's anything that you want me to bring up in this rant / discussion. Please leave a comment, because I'm going to be reading the comments, because I really want to get a discussion going. There are other parts that I'm going to be doing. I haven't finished this discussion yet, so keep an open mind. And I know for a fact that I'm going to get a lot of backlash from the Code Geass fandom. But hey, you win some, you lose some. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you guys for watching. And if there's a series you want me to check out and review and give my thoughts on it, or if there's a top 10 list you want me to do, or any reactions, or responses, or rants on anything geeky, just leave links and comments in the comment sections below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. And if you guys want to follow me on my social medias, I'm on minds.com, Twitch, Dailymotion, and Hatron, Reddit, BitChute, aka the new YouTube, DeviantArt, Discord, VidMe, Gab, Twitter, Tumblr, Patreon, GoFundMe, PayPal, and my other social medias are down there in the description box below, so if you want to go and check them out, please do. And don't forget to subscribe and share this video. And please go and check out my new skeptic channel, Gypsy Freak. It's also down there in the description box below. Peace out.